I have a love-hate relationship with sequels. Hear me out. Sometimes sequels can be just as good, if not better, than the original. Things like Evil Dead 2 or Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Godfather 2. All of these movies are loved just as much, if not more, than the original. The problem seems to come in when you start milking every last drop out of a franchise. Basically, when you make it past 4 or 5, it starts getting pretty bad. If your main character is going to space, usually it's a bad sign. Now, I'm not going to rip on this movie as a whole, but I do want to address the problems this movie has. And it's from one of my favorite franchises, Friday the 13th. No, I'm not gonna talk about part 5 where Jason isn't even in the damn thing, because that's another video. And I'm not gonna talk about part 9 where Jason is possessing people, so you know what, and that's another video. No, today I want to talk about my problem with Friday the 13th Part 8, Muppets Take Manhattan, Jason Takes Manhattan. So let's start off with the title, Jason Takes Manhattan. He's not taking anything. I know it's just a saying, but I don't get it. Maybe I do a little research, find out where the saying came from. But if anything, it should be Jason Takes Vancouver, seeing how most of the city shots were shot in Vancouver. There was about 2 minutes of the movie that actually was shot in New York. Basically, it was for commercials, because this movie literally tricked people into thinking they were going to see Jason in New York. He was gonna go see a Broadway show, maybe come down to the GrindHauses and check out some of those awesome movies. He was gonna go see The Naked Cowboy, maybe crash the set of TRL. Who knows? But that's not what we got. What we got was 80% of a movie that takes place on a boat. Let's just think about this real quick. A boat that leaves Crystal Lake ends up in New York. Let me just go back a little bit. A boat that leaves Crystal Lake. You know what a lake is, correct? It is a body of water surrounded by land. Guess what it's not connected to? The bay or the ocean. So, the fact that they made it to any city astounds me. But they did. Now, after an incredible Part 6, one of the best Jason movies ever, and a somewhat decent Part 7, this was the beginning of the end for the Friday the 13th franchise. So bad that New Line Cinema actually purchased the rights of Friday the 13th after this film. And the first movie they made was Part 9. And if you don't know Part 9, well, you're lucky. Now, they would come back with Jason X, and although it's, the space movie, it's actually a fan favorite, and I enjoy it quite a bit. And also Freddy vs. Jason, which, fan favorite. And then the remake, not as bad as everyone says. So, basically, in the franchise, you have maybe 3 pretty bad movies, and 2 of them were back to back. I guess it's maybe one of the reasons why I kind of hate this movie, is because if this movie was good and it made good money and it didn't trick people, then maybe Paramount would have kept their hands on the original property. And I'm not saying it would have stayed good, because obviously part 5 and obviously. But I think anything would have been better than what we got as a 9th installment. They're on a boat in a lake, and they're on their way to New York. One of the most unlikable casts of any Friday the 13th movie ever. My personal favorite is part 4, mainly because all of those characters are either likable or they're realistic. So even if you don't like them, you don't like them for reasons that are, reasonable. Whereas, with some newer horror movies or remakes, it seems like they just make everybody unlikable because the movie theater or the movie companies know we're going to see the killer. Like, that's the star attraction, and we want to see these young adults and these teens killed, so it would be better if we didn't like them. But when you have a stronger connection and likable characters, you have scenes that make you feel bad for people. You're invested more. It's not just awesome kills to unlikable people. It's an experience, and I think it's something that horror movies need to kind of gravitate towards a little more. But besides that, it's not just the first act of the movie that they're on the boat. It's not just part of the second act that they're on the boat. It's literally the entire first and second act of this movie. They are on this boat. 85% of the kills happen on the boat. And even though there's some pretty awesome scenes that take place in actual New York and, Vancouver, I think Vancouver or Toronto, but there are some pretty decent shots and scenes in there, it doesn't make up for the fact that I just had to sit through an hour of this shitty... I wish they would have called it Jason Takes the Seven Seas, even though it's a lake and they end up in New York. But my biggest gripe with this movie is how they did in Jason. Jason, after part 6, well, from part 6 on, pretty much became zombie Jason. He was brought back to life from Tommy Jarvis through electricity, and he became just this unstoppable killing machine. Like, if you thought he was an unstoppable killing machine, in parts 1 through 4, actually he wasn't in 1, 2, 3, and 4, from 6 on, he is just absolutely devastating. So, how do they kill him in this? Was it, beheading, or did he fall on the spikes like, the jerk off? Did he get hit in the head with the axe? Did he get shot out of a cannon? Nope. They released sewage water, which I guess was so contaminated with toxic materials, because it is New York. I mean, that is the only believable part of the movie, that Jason reverted back to a small child and then died. What? It's not like Jason from 2, 3, and 4, where he's like a human and then he's a zombie and he reverts to a human child and then dies. You know what? This movie has more problems, in my opinion, than it does, pros. Like, here's the cons, here's the pros. If it was here, I could at least put it in the midway point of my favorite, Friday the 13th movies. But because of all the negatives, I mean, the kills aren't even the best in the series. Like, if it had amazing kills, it would have been up a little higher. But I'll still watch it. if it's Halloween time and it's on TV and I know it's gonna be censored, I'll still watch it because it's Friday the 13th and it's Jason. But if I had a choice, I would probably watch 1 through 4, 6, 7, 10 in the remake, and Freddy vs. Jason. Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, can go suck a dick. And Part 9, which I'm not... They're both gonna get their own little short videos. But this is how I wanted to start the series. I am Gray, and just stay away from Jason Takes Manhattan. Unless it's your favorite of the series. Which, if that's the case, you may need a little bit of a psychic evaluation. Not a psych evaluation, a psychic evaluation. Someone who can physically get into your head and let us know what the hell is going on up there, that this is your favorite Friday the 13th movie. Alright, stop.